Rain pelted against the window of Mia Carter's small apartment as she sat in silence, staring at the framed wedding photo that wasn't hers. It belonged to her ex-husband and his new wife, a smiling image she'd stumbled upon online while scrolling aimlessly at midnight. Her chest tightened as if the rain itself was trying to drown her heart. She closed her laptop, but the ache didn't fade. It wasn't just the betrayal that broke her. It was the haunting question that had followed her for 3 years. Was I ever enough? Her son, Jordan, asleep in the next room, was her only reason for getting out of bed. Every night, she whispered promises to him she wasn't sure she could keep. And every morning, she wore strength like makeup, something to hide the cracks no one else needed to see. But tonight, as she held that empty wine glass and stared at the rain-soaked world outside, she didn't know that the next wedding she'd attend, as a guest, not a bride, would change everything she believed about love, healing, and herself. The wedding venue was like something out of a movie, chandeliers, soft jazz, and laughter floating through the air like golden dust. Everyone seemed to belong to someone. Everyone but her. Mia sat at a round table near the back, her elegant black dress hugging her curves just enough to remind her that she was still beautiful, even if she didn't believe it. Her skin glowed under the warm lights, her natural curls pinned in a soft bun. She'd come because her cousin insisted. You need to get out, Mia. Life isn't supposed to end just because love did. But love had ended, brutally. The man she once built dreams with had walked out when their son was barely 2, leaving nothing but an echo of promises and unpaid bills. Since then, Mia had sworn off the idea of romance. Her heart wasn't a home anymore. It was a shelter, built for survival, not warmth. She watched the bride and groom dance, her throat tight. Couples swayed all around, whispering words she once used to believe in. And though she smiled politely when someone asked if she was okay, inside she wanted to scream. The music shifted, the lights dimmed, and for a moment, her loneliness became visible, like a shadow standing beside her. Mama, Jordan had asked that morning, tugging at her sleeve. Why don't you smile in real life like you do in pictures? She didn't know how to answer him then. But now, sitting among strangers and laughter that wasn't hers, the question burned in her chest. Maybe she'd forgotten how. When the server brought her a glass of champagne, she declined with a gentle shake of her head. Her reflection shimmered in the glass centerpiece, a woman trying too hard to look like she belonged. She took a breath, forcing herself to stay until the night ended. But she didn't know someone had been watching her, not out of pity, but curiosity. Someone who noticed the quiet strength in her stillness, the grace in her solitude. He appeared between songs, tall, composed, with eyes that carried both authority and kindness. His name was Daniel Hayes, the CEO of the company that had sponsored the event. But she didn't know that yet. Is this seat taken? He asked softly. His voice was calm, deep, the kind of voice that could talk a storm into silence. Mia blinked. No, it's not, she replied, cautious but polite. As he sat, she caught the faint scent of cedar and something clean, like rain on stone. For a moment, silence stretched between them, not awkward, but meaningful. He glanced toward the dance floor, then back at her. You look like you're somewhere else, he said gently. She almost laughed. That obvious? He smiled, not the practiced kind that rich men wore, but something sincere. Only because I've been there. That caught her off guard. You, she asked. He nodded, eyes thoughtful. I lost my wife 5 years ago. Cancer. For a long time. I thought being alone was safer than remembering how much love can hurt. Mia's breath caught. His words struck a chord she didn't know still played. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't be, he said softly. Loss teaches us what love really means. It's not about holding on. It's about learning to let go with grace. Something inside her cracked, and tears threatened to rise, but she blinked them away. I'm still learning that, she admitted. Letting go. Daniel looked at her then, really looked. You don't have to be alone anymore, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Not unless you want to be. For the first time in years, Mia didn't flinch at the thought of being seen, really seen. They talked for hours about their pasts, their pain, and the small joys they'd both forgotten, like morning coffee or laughter without guilt. And somewhere between the laughter and the tears, something began to bloom. Not love, not yet, but hope. Weeks turned into months. What began as two strangers talking at a wedding slowly became daily texts, shared coffees, and honest conversations. Daniel never rushed her. He understood that healing had its own rhythm. Mia started smiling more, not for anyone else, but because she felt lighter. She returned to her art, painting portraits of mothers and children, capturing emotion and color again. Jordan noticed it first. "You're happy, Mama," he said one morning, and she realized he was right. One evening, as the sun set behind Daniel's garden, she told him, "You know, I used to think being strong meant doing everything alone." He smiled gently. Sometimes strength is letting someone stand beside you. Tears welled up in her eyes, not of pain, but gratitude, the kind that comes when a soul begins to heal. She reached for his hand. "Thank you," she whispered, "for seeing me." Daniel squeezed her hand. "You were never invisible, Mia. You just needed someone to remind you of your own light." Under the soft glow of dusk, she finally felt peace. Not because she'd found someone new, but because she'd finally found herself. The love she thought she'd lost had always been inside her, waiting for her to return home. Moral of the story: healing doesn't mean forgetting your pain. It means growing strong enough to carry it with grace. Love doesn't always arrive to fix you. Sometimes, it comes to remind you that you were never broken, only waiting to rise again.